Welcome to the Boostly podcast. This is the podcast that gives hosts the tools, the tactics, the training, and most importantly, the confidence so you can go out there and get yourselves lots of direct bookings. Today, we're joined by Jamey King. He's the Senior Marketing Manager for Eviivo in the US and Canada. He's had over 20 years experience in the STR space, and now he works for one of the leading PMSs. And we're going to dive into how it can help you as a host and what is coming next for Eviivo. I'm really excited about today's episode because it's a PMS that I've used, and let's dive in. So welcome along, Jamey. Thank you for joining us.
Liam, always a pleasure. Thank you for including me and thinking of me and also having me on this podcast. So I'm excited to be a part of it.
For those who haven't heard of Eviivo before, what is Eviivo and who is it that you help the most?
Yeah, great question and very happy. So Eviivo is an all-in-one property management platform. So ideally what we're looking to do is we're designed from those that are independent hosts of accommodations, for those that are enterprise vocational managers. And of course, what drew me to Eviivo when I joined is the fact that it's not that we're just doing short-term rentals. We're also doing boutique hotels, independent hotels, bed and breakfast. Our goal is to help you as the owner operator, as a vacation manager, is to save time. And we need to try to help you simplify your operations. We want you to grow your bookings. And of course, we want to do it through having a very tight automation, because that's the key in this process. And then also helping you with your integrations to make your day-to-day operations much more efficient and of course, much more robust when it comes to revenue generation.
Nice. And I mean, I'm based in the UK and I've known Eviivo for many years, but I know some of our US listeners, which 50% of our audience is now based in the US. I know that they're more aware of Eviivo across there, and that's really been growing. I've been talking to Steve Cox, the UK director, and
Sure.
he says it's really grown across there. So what's different about the market over there versus like the UK and Europe? And what's driving kind of the people flocking to Eviivo?
I love it. I love that question because I love to tell a story, right? One of the things I love about Eviivo is, first of all, let's just look at our countries. Western Europe, you're thousands of years old, right? United States will be 250 years old next year. 250 years old. So, but we're incredibly diverse. As I was in London recently, I was thinking, I wonder how big the scale is of United States states to Western Europe. The biggest country in Western Europe, the little history lesson for those listening, you don't know what we're going to get today, right? Is the country of France.
Mm-hmm.
That equates to the landmass of the state of Texas. So put that in perspective. So what's amazing for us is when I say we're diverse in the United States, we're new. We have all this land, we have all these different people, we have all these different nationalities, which Europe has as well. But what we're doing is we're seeing an opportunity to have a full large vocational management company on one block, and 3 blocks down the road, you have 5 to 7 smaller property managers or hosts or people that are doing it on their own. And so it's very unique because we're competing with, when it comes to short-term accommodations in the United States, you're competing against bed and breakfast. You're competing against RVs and campgrounds. You're competing against those branded hotels. But what we're really focused on is driving that adoption. How do you keep those guests coming to you? How do you keep those guests saying, you know what, even though I have Marriott rewards, I want to stay with Liam and Jamey's vacation rentals in Myrtle Beach in South Carolina. So what we're trying to do is to make it more scalability for you, give you more scalability, give you those automated tools. We want you to be able to work with those fewer tools so that you don't feel like it's a nuisance. You don't feel like it's a work overload of too many different tools, but we want to create a less manual working area. So we're doing that by diversifying, and that's what Eviivo is so, for me, so cool, being somebody who's been in this industry. A lot of times when you work with certain PMS companies, they're really kind of focused in one vertical, one short-term vertical. And Eviivo kind of gives you that hybrid model of being able to work with, hey, I got 5 cabins, I got an RV, and I also have a little tiny house that I have 2 rooms available. I need a software that can be able to handle that. You don't see a lot of that over in Western Europe, but what you do see is a lot of that is, I got all this land because the United States is so big, going back to my little map model, and then also saying, look, I can put these different types of accommodations. I can use one software. I can simplify, make it less manual. And here I am with a unique, obviously, value opportunity, trying to get Europeans to come over and stay in American properties.
It's very cool. I hadn't thought of how different it is, but you're absolutely right. I mean, we don't have like RV parks and motel type setups isn't as common across here in Europe as it is in the US. And I speak to so many hosts who have come to Boostly and they ask questions, and it really makes me understand that they do have a diverse portfolio, like you say, where they might have a duplex where, they need a parent-child listing, software
Absolutely.
that will allow them to do that, or they may need, like you say, those various different types of property. And I'm always quite shocked at how many hosts have a place up in the mountains and then also a place, like you say, on Myrtle Beach, and then one in Midwest America.
Right.
Like it's so varied, the kind of different places. So it's very cool to hear that Eviivo's taken that into a stride. And from a personal standpoint, I know how much Eviivo, I've had firsthand experience of how much they reinvest in the product and actually they're constantly looking to push forward. They don't rest on their laurels, which is very cool. So one of the things which is most important, like we've said, is the varied different units. But another thing which is really important for our listeners is direct bookings. Is what we're all
Absolutely.
about. So how does a PMS like Eviivo help them to rely less on people like Airbnb, who's just raised their commission price yet again? How does Eviivo help them to get more direct bookings?
Yeah, and it's very important because we're kind of at a war right now, right? Especially in the United States, it's every time you're using, obviously, and I'm not bad mouthing OTAs, but it's always a little piece of that revenue pie is coming out, right? Every type of different tech you add to your tech stack. So direct bookings, right now, as I keep seeing a resurgence in it, but direct bookings should be effortless. It should be a very simple process. You want to have your integrated payment features. You want to be able to have a mobile friendly booking. We all know if you're using direct bookings, you're probably focused on multi different levels of your company. And so you can't always wear the same hat every day. You can't go in and just be that owner operator that's going to meet the guests when they come into the front desk if you choose happen to have them come in, or maybe you do direct to house bookings in that regard. But you want to be able to manage your tools. You want to be able to manage your rates. You want to be able to manage your availability, and you want to do it in real time. And that's the power of direct bookings, is being able to have those tools with a PMS, with a provider that can give you those features that say, today I'm wearing maintenance. Today I'm fixing unit number 7. It's got a bad refrigerator. Dang, I'm missing 3 reservations that have come in that I should have picked up the phone because I was bent over trying to carry a refrigerator out the back door of unit number 7. So what I love about when it comes to direct bookings, it's usually those owner operators or those hosts that really are saying, I need a solution so I can maximize my revenue. I can basically own the relationship and build that brand loyalty, right? Because that's what you are. You're a brand. And the idea is that if you're going to book direct, how do you keep those guests in your booking funnel? And when they're there, how do you get them to rebook? The biggest win when it comes to owner, operator, and host is the ability for you to be able to say, hey, Liam stayed with me. He and his family had so many memories. He's already booked the same apartment, our same unit, a year in advance when he comes back. That's the win, right? That's what you want. And as Liam and his family are leaving, give me that review, right? That's imperative. You want to be able to have that positive experience so you yourself can market it. And then you can be able to go out and say, okay, in 3 years, I've grown, I've scaled, I've added, I've basically been able to acquire new homes that are in my management program. Maybe I should start leveraging some OTAs when it makes more sense, right? So I'm all about basically diversity, just diversifying your rental program. But when we're talking about direct bookings, make it as effortless as possible, make it as important to the guest journey, the guest booking aspect of it. And then when you're ready to tackle more of a distribution platform, bring the OTAs in that point.
That's very cool. I love that you're talking our language. I mean, it is all about creating that brand, getting people to buy into your brand, and then coming back ultimately and grabbing their direct contact details, which is super important. So, with so many tools, and you touched on this within your answer just there, there's a lot of softwares taking kind of a piece of the pie. There's obviously PMS slash channel managers, there's dynamic pricing, messaging apps. Where does Eviivo fit into all this, and what does a host actually need? Do they need those other tools alongside it, or is it standalone? Talk us through that.
Yeah, so Eviivo, it's great. Eviivo's the company name, but what are really the proof in the pudding, right? So use an American term there for those on both sides. It's Eviivo Suite, and Eviivo Suite is designed or basically is manufactured to be the core hub of the brains behind your everyday usage, right? So what it does, what Eviivo Suite does, is it helps you manage your bookings, it helps you manage your channels, helps you manage your communications, reporting, rate changes, rate manipulation, and it puts it all in one place. So it's basically all rest on the back end. So you as a host, you as a property manager, has the ability to say, I don't need to go anywhere else. Now, let's play devil's advocate. You're out, you're working, and you're saying, I have these amazing smart locks. I'm working with vendor X, vendor B, and I have these amazing, prop tech in my house. What's important is you got to be able to have that integration in place. You got to be seamlessly be able to work with smart locks or accounting software, or maybe you're looking at pricing tools. So Eviivo Suite gives you that ability, that flexibility to say, if you have a great relationship and you want to stay, it's just an integration. And Eviivo Suite, and more likely than not, since we've been around for almost 20 years, has those integrations in place that allows for that seamless, obviously, relationship to stay. And then it all rests in the back end on your Eviivo Suite dashboard and where you manage your day-to-day operations.
It's cool. And one thing, again, from being a user of Eviivo, and I don't know if you're allowed to say this is marketing working for Eviivo. Certainly, what I always felt is because it was more originally a European type software, and Booking.com started or really is dominant in Europe. I always found that the connection between the two was very good, whereas some of the other tech which started elsewhere has been catching up and that side of things. So it's something which I've spotted and just an observation I wanted to share.
Yeah, and you're very right. I mean, obviously, one of the core feature sets for is as your listeners grow or they make a decision to start dipping their toes into the world of OTAs and distribution and platforms, um, it can be clunky with some of the other companies out there. And as you alluded to, and you said it because I'm just going to reinforce what you said, that is one area that we do obviously pride ourselves in is a simple, basically set it and forget it, right? And that's something I think we'll maybe touch base later in this conversation. But you want to make minimal effort. You don't want to have a lot of resistance. If
Mhm.
you want to turn on Booking.com, it should be a simple toggle where you basically turn it on. It's a two-way sync of information. It's all being pushed out, and the information comes in, it's pushed in, and it all resides in the Eviivo Suite. You got to have those integrations in place. It's going to make your life a lot like heck, because what we're trying to avoid is those double bookings, right? Somebody calls Liam, you're the host. I call you, you book me down on a piece of paper and write it down. Then somebody else looks online, finds the same unit, books it. There's no synchronization. Now you got both of us standing there mad saying, which one gets the room? We don't want that to happen.
No, 100%, 100%. So I want to pull from your experience of short-term rentals in general, that 20 years experience. What are some of the biggest kind of tech slip-ups you see or missed chances from hosts, either from your experience with Eviivo or from your experience in the STR world?
Yeah, there's really, in my opinion, I love this question. There's really two big ones I think that resonate. And I kind of just framed the first one where you're not synchronizing your inventory across all your different distribution channels, right? If we're going to do book direct and you're purely doing book direct, this isn't a really big problem. But as people join the industry and then they talk to peers, and the peers say, well, are you using Airbnb? Are you using VRBO? Are you using Expedia? And they're just like, okay, yeah, I should sign up and do that. Well, they sign up, but then they forget, is that integration in place? So what that
Mhm.
happens is it's not a solid booking strategy, right? You got to kind of educate yourself and ease yourself into those waters. The other part about it is you're underutilizing automation, right? So basically, automation is designed for you, the host, for you, the owner operator, for you, the product manager. Let's put auto messaging in place. Let's start. AI is everywhere, and AI is actually Those that embrace it love it. Those who are afraid of it are missing out, right? And I'm not going to tell you go either or, but I think you should slowly start incorporating. If you have auto messaging, you're asleep, you can't always answer the phone. You put some AI onto that, you get basically a unified inbox that can do simple answers as you're asleep. When you wake up, you look at the transcripts, and then you can reach out to that customer directly, right? So a lot of people, a lot of different owner operators, hosts are underutilizing automation. That goes for invoicing, that goes for dynamic pricing. You know, what we're trying to do with Eviivo and Eviivo Suite is we're trying to save you hours of each week, right? Everybody gets into this business. Hey, you're really good at organization. You should manage my property in Florida. Okay, I'll do some QuickBooks. I can do this. Well, now everybody wants you to manage your property in Florida. QuickBooks isn't going to be robust enough to be able to handle that. So how do you start automating? How do you start taking some of these different tools and working with these different companies to help you be able to capture that so you don't miss out on those reservations or those simple inquiries on how you can become better and grow and scale?
I get that. I 100% get that. And one of the things that I sometimes a bit guilty of on the show is I ask questions from my point of view, but I want to ask a question for somebody who's perhaps a little bit newer to hosting or is getting their first PMS and perhaps they've just signed up to Eviivo or they've just got their first short-term rental. What would you say should be the first thing they should nail down, either from your experience at Eviivo or your experience in STR?
It's the guest journey, right? That's what you got to nail down. You got to think about how this guest journey plays out from the time that they're online looking at your website to the point of where they decide to make that booking decision, to the point of the lead up, the ramp up time to when they arrive, when they're on site, and of course, then the whole post obviously checkout. It's a cycle, right? We talked a little bit about it earlier, but ideally, what you want to do is keep them in that booking cycle. So the target, the goal, everybody I challenge that I talk to that are Eviivo customers is what are you doing? What are you doing that allows you to make those guests become repeat guests? We all love the guests that come and go, but we want those guests to go back and say, "Boy, I was with Liam. We were in Myrtle Beach. What an amazing host!" Right? Every touch point of that process mattered to Liam. He made us feel special. We had amazing memories of our time with him. I'm going to invite my friends, the Andersons. I'm going to tell them to book from Liam, and we're going to go there for spring break next year, right? So paying attention to detail, to touch points, from basically the communications in the booking cycle process to the way that you work with the incoming guest on payments, depending on what your percentage, how much they had to put in. All of that matters to a prospective guest. Capitalize it, make it unique, provide a unique experience. Because if that booking journey and that guest journey is happy and everybody loves it, and we get it. There are things that happen that are no control. Refrigerators break, cable goes out, right? Storms knock out power. I've been there. I travel a lot. I stay in vacation rentals all the time. But if you have a great host that's hands-on and is there, it makes that experience that less likely to be unrememberable to become very memorable.
There's a quote which says that people forget what you said and what you did, but they remember how you made them feel. And I think
Right.
that's so true to add a quote to your point that it's just important for us as hosts to remember that each person who's staying is having their own unique experience and
Right.
how they feel about that experience is actually the biggest factor in getting the 5-star review.
Absolutely.
One of the things which we always recommend doing is to either get somebody to almost mystery shop your guest journey or go and book your place, like go on the journey and see what emails you get and when. And I've done this in the early days, especially on the OTAs, just to see if my automations are coming out at the right time. You can book your own place or, get somebody to book it, but then get the emails forwarded to you either way, just to test it all out. It's super important, and I completely agree on the customer journey is king. So you've got a lot of integrations that Eviivo work with. Is there any particular combos that are working really well for Eviivo users at the moment, or any softwares that you've seen that people are enjoying? And the reason I ask this, I know often AI is mentioned at this stage, but it can be anything at all,
Sure.
OTA integrations or even something within the Eviivo suite itself.
Yeah, and I apologize for that. The sun's coming right in my face, so I know the lighting might be a little bit off. It's not because I'm trying to like make my face glow like some album of
We,
Phil
we,
Collins, but
we just
um,
thought it was like you've got the divine spirit, like
yeah, yeah,
from what you're saying.
yeah. So I apologize to the audience, but it's what I say, not what I look like. But at the end of the day, what the biggest dynamic pricing is absolutely huge right now.
Mhm.
And the reason that it is that because you got sister company, you got partners like PriceLabs really at the we're looking to be able to work together to help maximize revenues. That's what's important, right? For you, what
Mhm.
keeps you in business, how do you maximize every single dollar that comes in from a guest that is renting one of your properties, whatever that property may be, right? So we want to make sure that when you are working with a company like PriceLabs that's using dynamic pricing, you want to be able to control those manual updates. You want to be able to make that simplified, right? We want you to make sure that if you're working, and we're going to talk about this, I think, later, but you want to be able to control that rate management, controlling rate management, so that, hey, this is a busy weekend. We got a big concert in town. We want to make sure that we're looking at, hey, how do we make sure we get more revenue for these? People will pay this because they're looking at supply and demand. It's a very simple process. It's been around a long time. But what we're also looking to do for you is say, look, you know, Eviivo Suite's great. PriceLabs is great. They're married together. We're going to maximize obviously our occupancy rate. We're going to look at our ADRs. We're going to look at our RevPAR, and we're going to be able to say what is the best decision that we can make, so that we can have high occupancy and also make a little bit more money on this seasonality or periods of time frames when we have this high demand of occupancy. People come in and look for it. That also goes for payment. That also goes for, smart lock, multi-property reporting. It also is, driving. The goal is to drive bigger gains for the owner operators at this point.
100%. Anything that makes it either easier to manage or drives revenue. I mean, as a host, my ears prick up, so it's
Yep.
very good. And one thing that I've got to ask, without giving the stuff away that you can't give away, what
Right.
is new? What's coming along? What are you excited about?
Yeah, I think the big one for me, and one of the most products I'm actually working on a campaign right now, is our award-winning Eviivo mobile app.
Mhm.
I absolutely everybody has an app, right? But some apps are almost static, right? It's, oh, we got an app, we can kind of show you. But what I love about it is it gives you everything that you need to run your day to day at a glance, right? You can check your available inventory. You can do instant notifications, whether that be from bookings that are coming in that show up in the app, to managing payments, to guest messaging, which is always important. You can have that in a real time notifications, a real time dashboard, and it goes links into our AI powered inbox, which I think is very cool to talk about, because what that does is it's pulling from your direct messages. So whether that's an email inquiry, whether that's a source like an OTA, if you are dipping your foot in the OTA channel of distribution, anytime, anywhere, auto replies, auto reviews, booking pre-approvals, all that can be handled through that unified inbox through the Eviivo mobile app, which is absolutely fantastic.
It sounds really good. And I know, again, from past experience that Vivo only does things properly. Like they won't just do it to tick a box. If they've got an app, then it's being done properly. I know there are, and we won't name any names, but there's softwares out there who will just tick a box just
Yep.
to tick the box. Whereas you want it to work, it can't just say that it does it. And that's the key thing, isn't it? So we've obviously covered quite a lot of ground on this bite-size podcast, but what I'd love to leave the listeners with is, if there was just one thing you wanted the listeners to know about Eviivo, what would that be? And then can you share how people can come and sign up or find out more about
Sure.
Eviivo?
Yeah, and I love that, and it's a good way to kind of wrap up this conversation. When it comes to this industry, when it comes to short term, when it comes to vacation rentals, when it comes to owner operators, host, there's so much out there, and anybody that's out there that goes to different events, you may become overwhelmed. and think, wow, there's so many different vendors, there's so many different tech, there's so many different people tell me I need this, and I need this. And what I always advise every time I'm on a panel or I'm speaking is keep it simple, right? The simple is profound. The right tech, honestly, should make your life easier, not harder, right? You don't have to go all in with all tech. You can piecemeal that kind of together and find out where your deficiencies are and how you can meet those kind of little rough patches in your day-to-day operations. Focus on efficiency, automation, and guest experience. Ideally, keep your guest experience top of the list, because if your guests aren't having a good experience, they're not coming. If you're not coming, you don't have a business. You're not getting anybody into your houses. So growth will follow if, as long as you just kind of keep it simple. So I tell my teams the simple is profound. Keep it simple.
I love that. I love that. And how can we find out more?
Absolutely. So you can go to eviivo.com, Eviivo.com, and we can connect there or on LinkedIn. We have our own Eviivo LinkedIn page. I'm on LinkedIn as well. Or as what my big thing coming up here in the United States, we're getting ready for our industry event season. That means I'll be at probably 9 events between now, September, and December. Look for Eviivo. I'll be more likely to be there as well.
Very cool. I'm sure people come and reach out and go and check out. If you're driving and you're listening to this, when it's safe to do so, there'll be a link in the show notes you can click on, and that'll take you straight over there. Well, thank you so much, Jamey, for this. To see us out with the very last thing, we like to have a personal mantra or any kind of life lesson just to see us out. What would you say yours is?
Yeah, mine is, I kind of, I want to keep it simple, but there is one thing. For all those listening and all those that do attend an industry event or go to, maybe a meet and greet or any type of thing where you're talking to industry professionals, people that proclaim to have knowledge, I challenge all of you listening, find one takeaway, just one topic, implement it into your day-to-day operations, and be dedicated to it for one year. And ideally, if you really follow that one idea, hit me up in a year, reach out to me in a year, tell me what that was and how that changed your business. If you go into that mindset and be, because you always got to be curious. You got to be curious to be able to grow. And if you can go in that and take that one topic, I don't need 5, I don't need 3, just one good one. Put in your day-to-day, follow up with Liam or myself in a year, tell us what that was and how it changed your business.
Very cool. Thank you so much, Jamey, for today. It's been a real delight. And thank you too for listening to this on the Boostly podcast, the place where we discuss direct booking, software, and anything hospitality. If you want to continue this conversation, you can check out the hospitality community on Facebook. You can just type that into groups and you can come and join us for free. And we can talk more about this podcast or any other hospitality topic that you'd like to. It's a free community. Everybody's welcome. Thanks very much. We'll see you on the next one.